Welcome, everyone, to the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival. My name is Ryan Johnson. I am a programming assistant, and I have here with me today Uncle Peckerhead. We've got Matthew John Lawrence, our writer, director, producer. We've got Jeff Riddle, who plays Max in the film and also created the music for Duh, which speaks to my soul right here. It's so good. Let me see what else. I just want to thank everyone for joining us and our sponsors, and make sure you check out all the extra other bonus content on all the other films. I'm really happy to be here with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yes, yeah. We're hoping Peckerhead himself makes an appearance. We shall see. That'll be a delight as well. So, first off, I just rewatched the film last night again with my wife, and I was just gushing about it so much that I didn't want to oversell it to her, but we both had a really great time watching it again. And I just think that it was, the characters are all so great and endearing, and the story is so much fun. And I'm a sucker for all that gore and practical effects. Where did Uncle Peckerhead come from? What was where to start?
Yeah, I mean, Uncle Peckerhead was really a few different ideas that were percolating 3 or 4 years ago. I had been kind of developing this idea of what I would consider like an Adult Swim series that was kind of modeled after a 90s sitcom. And it was about a bunch of punk kids that lived in a house and had a band, and inexplicably there was this old hillbilly tweaker that lived with them, and he would pass along the sage-like advice. So really there were no horror elements, but basically kind of the characters and kind of the familial relationship was there. And I'd always wanted to kind of make a film about the life of a touring DIY band. And basically right around this time I'd been producing a bunch of short films, a bunch of short horror films. I went to a bunch of horror film festivals, and I saw that there was that film that I was always looking for, that batshit midnight movie, just kind of you have a couple beers with your friends and you go and you're kind of shrieking and cringing and cheering and all that stuff. There were so few of those films this year that I kind of took a few films that I had produced. So I was kind of sitting around with my girlfriend, now wife, and I was just kind of drinking more and more and just yeah, we should make that movie. So I kind of combined these 3 or 4 ideas I had into what would become Uncle Peckerhead. And what's really crazy is basically the first draft was much of what you see on screen. I think the dialogue got better and a few story beats, but the original script was basically what you see.
Wow, that's incredible. And so did you, were you the sole writer on it?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So then when did you come into the fold, Jeff? I know you guys have a past together, obviously, yeah. Which I want to talk about.
Past.
A checkered past.
No, Matt and I are good buds, and I did a short with him. When did we do? Was that 2012?
Yeah, 13.
13, yeah. I remember. Yeah, he asked me to do it in 2012, and that was the first time I had ever done anything like this. And but yeah, and I just fell in love with it. And when this came around, we were talking about it for a while, and when this came around, sort of Matt was like, I have a part for you in this, and we talked about the music aspect of it. And there was a song that I had, a song of mine called Trash Age, it's in the movie, that Matt really liked, and wanted to use that. And I was just sort of we were talking why don't we write an actual, a real record for this band? And so that's kind of how it started for me. And and Matt gave me the script, and kind of, it was the first time that I'd written music with I don't want to say necessarily a direction, but knowing what's happening in these scenes and trying to write for a mood or thematically, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So Too High, was it Too High to Cry, Too High to Care?
Too high to cry, too rare to care.
Too rare to care. Okay. Brilliant
Yep.
lyrics. That I wanna die young.
My epitaph.
Yeah, they just it's just so good. It has this feeling of I hate to do this. I never
That's
want to like
okay.
compare it to things, but
Hey,
I
that's
like
all right.
it's like Bouncing Souls and the Distillers like had a baby. I don't know. I love the dual
That's
vocals. I love it's just
that's a huge
Yeah.
compliment. And
And as a
yeah,
Jersey kid, I love the Bouncing Souls callback. I mean,
yeah.
I think one thing that Jeff does really well, and this is kind of what I was looking for with the band, is to write joyfully nihilistic music. And I
yeah,
feel that like he perfectly captured that. And that's, I mean, that's something Jeff and I kind of talked about early on. The reason why I kind of hit the lottery in getting to collaborate with Jeff, in that like there's a few really great examples of groups performing in film, in narrative film or in fictional film. But I would say by and large, it's usually like really, really hack. And it's like, it does not feel like an actual band. And whether it's the songs themselves or the way in which the people are performing them who clearly have not been playing in their lives. I think we got really lucky in that, like, Jeff is an actual musician that writes like really incredible music, but even Chet and Ruby, who prior to filming didn't know how to play their respective instrument, like took lessons. And you know, Jeff and I worked on getting them videos, or I got Ruby like drum lessons, and they learned how to play those songs. Like they're actually playing. They're not playing live, but they're actually playing to that music.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I was gonna ask you if Ruby or Chet had any musical background as well.
No, but we just went again, like got so lucky that they were so willing to throw themselves into it and not just kind of like, you know, pantomime like terribly. You know, they actually like took lessons and just practice endlessly with those few songs.
yeah,
And
they crushed it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean there wasn't a doubt in my mind. Like I know I'm watching a movie, but you're watching it and it's
right.
just a band on stage just tearing the roof off the place. I
Yeah,
love
and I
it.
think the first day of filming, second day of filming, but the first performance scene was our second day of filming, and yeah, I mean, I know they were a little nervous about it because they had never actually done it, but like Matt said, we gave them like source material, like videos of me and my friend Bill, who played the drums, playing, and they were a little bit nervous, and we sort of literally, like you see us doing in the movie, we have sort of a band huddle on stage, like really right before we were about to shoot, and I was like, just don't even worry about it. We're playing punk rock. This is the funnest kind of music. Like, you don't have to be good. You just have a good time. And that's sort of like, I think that sort of put everybody at ease. And we all just sort of went into it. And we helped that we were blasting this music like loud out of like a 100-watt guitar amp on a stage. So yeah, I mean, and they crushed it. They just, and I think that set the tone for the rest of like the performance scenes and the movie.
Yeah, did you guys find anything super challenging about the performance scenes? You know, dealing with a lot of extras. I mean,
That's probably
Yeah, I
more
mean,
Matt's in.
yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things like the scene that Jeff's talking about at that the first performance in the film is, you know, in a micro budget film, you're kind of like you're begging, you're borrowing, you're stealing. You always feel like your back's against the wall. There's never enough time. There's never enough hours. You're always kind of like compromising. But there are like certain times when a scene is really nailed, or you just feel like everyone's like firing on all cylinders. And that was like one of those days that it was like early on, but it really, like Jeff said, it really set the tone. And I think people were like, oh shit, like this is actually like, this isn't some like bullshit operation. And it gives you like, especially since like, you know, there's so few people working on the film, is like, you just want people to kind of trust and like, just like, okay, we got 18 days of just like war. And I think that was like something where everyone felt that scene went really well. Sorry, there was a fly in front of my face, but yeah, I mean, everyone felt like that scene went really well, but yeah, I mean, like the last scene in the film, to talk about like overcoming stuff, is it takes place in a basement, and in an actual like punk show basement in Philadelphia, the now defunct Sound Hole. And what had happened was someone through mixed signals forgot to actually cast any extras. And it's supposed to be like a packed fucking show in the basement. So what we ended up having to do is like my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, that did production design and wardrobe, and our unit production manager, who's also like a best friend of Jeff and mine. They just went out. They went out to a park in Philly because it was like right across from a park, and they just were pulling kids, like just like, hey, we'll give you free pizza if you come shoot. And what ended up happening is like we only had like 15 people, but our cinematographers, our camera department, was so incredible in basically they formed this kind of weird. If you don't,
it was like this. It was like this.
Like a conga line of people. So it looks like there's like 30 kids, but in reality, you're having like 8 people cross the frame, and like they're like switching T-shirts or like putting on a hat and coming by the frame again. So
Matt jumped in at one point.
I know. I mean, we had, it was amazing. It was like one of those things that it really gives you hope in, like in the collective, the camaraderie and the spirit of independent filmmaking or DIY filmmaking. Because it was like I was in the shot. Our PAs, our sound guy, because we didn't need him to record any sound on set. Our makeup woman. Like, I mean, it was like half crew, half fucking strangers we pulled from this like, you know, gross park in Philadelphia. But it was incredible. And it was like, and that was like a day where everything that could go wrong did. Like right before we were set to shoot, someone like knocked over 2 huge jugs of water on the craft services table. So it leaked down into the basement onto the sound shit. It was like one of those things where it's just like, should we go home?
When that was happening, we were already pressed for time. The extra thing was going on. And then, I mean, when it happened, I remember everybody was sort of like, you know, on a knife's edge. And then that happened. And I'm telling you, man, it was like a deluge. It did not look like somebody knocked over water.
Like a pipe burst.
We thought the pipes burst because there was so much water raining on everything. What? We were like, oh my God. And it was like, I think it was like right before we were about to shoot or something. We were like, oh my God. Like, it was like people running the camera gear out, like, and we were just like, this can't get any. It was just one of those things. But, you know, in those moments too, I think that was a day where I was like, we didn't get it. You know, I was like, and was that the last? That wasn't.
No, that wasn't. It was like, it was towards the end. It was
towards right. That wasn't the last day at all. Yeah. But yeah, in those weird moments though, just like, you know, getting the crowd from the outside, it's like, I'll tell you what, that's a crazy cross section of people in your audience. You know what I mean? Like your extras, you're like, like we got like some like, it's like a 22-year-old person hanging out with like a 65-year-old man and like a Grateful Dead, like total old, like stoner hippie guy. And we're just seeing that in like an audience shot. I love that shit. Like when you're just like, what is that?
They're all just really
like,
fans.
Oh my God, it's great. And like the guy, Joey, who kind of helped us all, you know, rectify that whole situation. Oh, and the hi-hat thing broke. The drum equipment was breaking. Who helped save the day. He's in there eating a slice of pizza, like party time, like eating a slice of pizza in the audience. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like those moments, like you're living and dying by like each second. Like there are these moments of like pure elation where you feel like you've succeeded in such a brilliant way by coming together, and then like immediately, like in a second later, you're just like, we are so fucked. We are done. We're toast. But luckily, I mean, it just kind of really speaks to how great the cast and crew were, that it was like everyone was wearing like at least a dozen hats, like including the actors. Like I know I'm also hoping Peckerhead shows up, but with David like would be acting his ass off and then would be carrying equipment with the rest of us, you know?
That's great.
And yeah, it was really kind of like it takes all kinds, and everyone just like kind of answered the call, to use a corny term, but it was really great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, we do some short films and stuff here in town, myself and our little film group, and yeah, that's how it feels on most times. It's like if you're not doing one thing, you're doing another, and there's something about that camaraderie and that coming together to make something. I can only imagine what it's like scaling that up, because it seems like you worked with some of the same people from the people that you like to work with, like from Larry Gone Demon, which was fantastic, by the way. Seems like you've got a pretty solid crew.
Yeah, and that's the thing of, I mean, as like I'm sure you know, especially from really there is not much of a difference. It is just longer. It's just like a longer period of time that you're executing it. But in those like those days or those weeks, the reason why I work with the people is that they can deliver, like that you can count on them. And then like you add more and more people with every single project. There are a few people that this was the first time I've worked with them, like Jared and Sean, who were our effects people, and there were a ton of people in the various departments we had on set that like I had never worked with before. I mean, same thing with actors too, like David and Chet and Ruby. But like, they never complained, no one had, like, generally speaking, no one ever had a bad attitude despite working like long hours, getting paid, just the bare minimum, like, just suffering through like summer heat and just like, all of this stuff. But like, ultimately, I think like just the idea of like, they're just like incredible, like collaborators and like people that are just like, the one thing as a professor that I just teach my kids that I say, like, I don't think people teach this enough, is just like being nice to people in those situations and just being like patient and being like kind and saying like, thank you, and really telling people how much you appreciate what they're doing or what they did. I think like if you're genuine with that, like, it goes like a long way. And I think people like generally want to do good and help each other out in these like really hairy situations.
Yeah, a good bedside manner goes a long way, I feel like. And just to speak to your question and to elaborate on Matt's point a little, it seemed like when you said was the most challenging, we had such a great crew and cast that it seemed, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially in small filmmaking, it's like external circumstances are usually, where it's like, oh, we get to the location and this person that's supposed to unlock the door is just nowhere to be found, or, things like that. That's what I feel.
Yeah. It was just all of the littler things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said, did you shoot it in Philly? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I mean, we were really kind of like on tour for this shoot.
Oh, so you were really on tour.
Yeah, it was amazing because like it really did feel, and we probably could have scheduled a little bit better, but yeah, we were in Philly. We were in all parts of like central New Jersey, like Ocean and Monmouth County, and we shot in Brooklyn. So like in reality, like one of the cool things and one of the reasons why I think like even like from the first day on, the band actually like felt like a band and bonded so much is they're great people and they have great personalities, and they're really like friendly, affable. They're a friendly, affable group. But I mean, like Jeff, Chet, Ruby, and David were traveling in the van. Like Jeff that's his van, and he was driving that van to like the different locations, and they were like eating, sleeping, drinking together. Like while we're like driving our grip trucks and our vans and stuff like that. I mean, they were actually kind of touring as that band. But yeah, we were driving all around the tri-state area, doing this shoot. Yeah. Which isn't smart for like, we only shot for like 18 days and we probably like, I don't know how many miles we covered, but would not do that again with the budget we had.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. There was a lot of locations, honestly. I mean, we moved a lot. Yeah. But I think that's great.
Well, especially when that's like the mantra of the film, when it's like you're on tour and it's DIY and it's just like make it to the next show. I think it comes out in the product.
It felt like that. And it was hard, I mean, that's the thing. Like we were, we really were driving hours and we were riding around like a band. So, I don't know if that's method acting or what, but we really were, man. And I think it just naturally made us we were just all in the mood,
Yeah, totally. So those locations are all incredible. I mean, that diner, the log cabin, like VFW type hall, and the main venue. I mean, how do you go about locking down all those beautiful locations? I mean,
again, it's just like, it's not pure luck. It's, since we were like, again, a really scrappy, like super low budget, I would say like 60% of the locations, my uncle, who's kind of who works for like Brick Township, which is in New Jersey, which is like a lot of the places, but like the VFW and like like a bunch of the outdoor locations, like when they're washing Peck off, like it was just him kind of calling in favors and being like, oh, I know the guy that we're like, he's kind of like the unofficial mayor of town because he works for the township. And he called in favors. My brother, I mean, now obviously they're not booking shows because of the pandemic, but he was the booker for House of Independence, which is kind of the show that they're looking forward to playing. So like, obviously like I called in that brotherly favor that I tend to do every now and again. But it was like Does House is Jeff's house that he had just bought. So it was like, and like when we shot in the basement in Philly, that was like my little brother's best friend's venue that he lived in at the time and he could get us in. So it was like, I mean, really, it was either places that I had gone to shows when I was like, 17, 18 or like 22, 23, or it was like somebody knew somebody or I knew that person and we knew we could get in there and for free or for like a heavy discount of like, $50 for a couple hours type of thing. But it was just, begging, borrowing, and stealing anything. And then when you get an inch, you just take a mile and just run with it.
And then there's even just those little couple things where it's like, getting closer to production, like we're still looking for a hotel for this, like, or like this. It's like, if you see anything, man, give me a call or like, let me know, like that kind of,
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because like we really like the other thing is the few locations that we didn't have a direct connect with, our unit production manager or our line producer is like one of my best friends, and he came in the week before production. Actually, our original line producer took her $500 deposit and literally left town. It was like kind of a friend of a friend who was living in Brooklyn, didn't tell anyone, but knew she was moving to LA. So took the deposit and fucking left a week before we were starting production. So I called my buddy who plays Larry and Larry Gun Demon, and he was
Shiloh.
And he plays Shiloh in this, and he was just gonna act in the movie. That was like his only plan. And I called him up and I was just like, I mean, you're having like a panic attack. And I was like, I know there's like a week out, like most of this, like I worked on most of the schedule with the AD. But I was like, hey, like if you come in, if I kind of just give you all the materials and kind of explain what I need you to do, can you do it? And yeah, I mean, he came in and absolutely killed it. But I mean, the day he showed up, I think it was the day before we were set to shoot. And he went to like, that's how he's the one that got the diner. He ended up getting the hotel room. It's just like, he had 4 hours and he just like literally drove around and would just like stop in and just ask people if we can shoot on whatever day we had it scheduled. So like a few of those locations we had basically said, oh, we're shooting at the diner on June 18th. But we had no diner. So it was like basically Ryan, who like, was pulling triple duty, just kind of like the day before trying to score those places. Like when you think about it, you're like, how the fuck did we get away with it? It sounds like so insane to just like be like, oh, this is like, we're putting so much time and money and everyone's like giving up like, 3 weeks of their life. And then you don't have like things that like, I would rake my students over this shit, if they didn't have a location locked by the time principal photography started. But you're just kind of like, I think it's just, you're just kind of like, you're just like in this delusional thing of just like, if you build it, they will come, like if we start shooting, it'll figure itself out.
And I think everyone's so caught up in that adrenaline and momentum of like, the process of doing, you're like, you're not even really thinking it. You can't think about like anything else other than doing it. Like just like in retrospect, thinking about some of the things, I just like kind of shuddered thinking about parking a 15-passenger van in New York City multiple times and driving around with, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, but when we were doing it, I was like, okay, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah. Where'd you guys find that van? Because that's a great like fourth.
It's my van.
For the van. That's your van.
No, rest in peace. But
Oh no.
yeah, these vans, they come and go. But yeah, no, it was, that was my van.
That's okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So you use it to load up all your equipment and tour and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and it just shows I really do have a bunch of shitty things, So, van, house, equipment, it all looks like shit, but it works.
There you go. And that's what matters.
Yeah, it's what matters.
It works.
Yep.
So, we talked a little bit about the music. I started scouring the internet. I said, I need this in my life. I need a physical copy of Duh. I need a record or something. Are there plans for an official Duh release in the future? Or can we talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it. If Jeff, do you want to? Do you want to let the people know? Do you want to let me?
You can just tell me no. It's fine.
Totally. Just the way it's like we can talk about it. It's like a negotiation. All right. Yep. All right. That's actually why I'm in my garage right now, and I've been out here for the past couple of days. I am demoing the Duh record. So yeah, hopefully very soon, we'll have something recorded, and I guess we're still going to figure out what medium we want to put it out on. I'd love to do an LP.
Yes.
If anybody out there is listening and want to put it out, let us know. But yeah, so that's the thing. We want to put out like a real Duh record for fans of the movie, the songs from the movie, and maybe a little bit more. So
yeah. Oh my God, that's so exciting. I will buy that record.
No,
awesome.
And I can speak that I've heard a couple of the demos, and it is straight up fire. It's so good. I'm so psyched. Like really, I mean, and this is something like Jeff and I have talked about extensively. Beyond the music is like we really want to kind of expand the world of kind of Duh, and I have a couple of scripts and like treatments on different ways in which, not just like an Uncle Peckerhead too, although I have an idea for that and a treatment for that, but just like I really do love like this, like the idea of being able to like world build with what we kind of set up with Peckerhead, and not just through like the medium of film. And that's why like I'm so excited that Jeff is so down to kind of like write and put together like a Duh LP and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm super psyched about not just the music, but we're really hoping to kind of do some more stuff in whatever venues we can kind of create for that world.
Oh, and I mean, I should take this opportunity to mention the Uncle Peckerhead web store. It's open now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So there's like Duh t-shirts. I mean, like the actual one of the shirts that I wear in the movie is on there. Like there's goodies.
Yeah.
So,
and that's on the Uncle Peckerhead website?
Yeah, if you go to unclepeckerhead.com, it's like once you're on that page, there's a link that just says like visit the store. And that's like also like I should say like whether you visit the website or the web store, that'll like have information for like when we actually do like finally like lock down the record and details about it of when it's coming out. As well as like on that website, you can find like all information about like upcoming projects that we're hoping to get off the ground, and just like, various, news articles about like, what we're doing, or, all that good shit.
So cool. I went to your website and and there was talk of a Peckerhead trilogy of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly a Peckerhead trilogy, but I have an idea for a Duh trilogy.
A Duh trilogy.
Where, yeah, I mean, it's just the band. I mean, all like very similar in style and tone and stuff like that. Hopefully, a bigger budget. But I always had like an idea of I always wanted to kind of tell the story of this band in these like kind of like, like a Scooby-Doo type thing. Mm-hmm. This band on these misadventures that it's kind of high concept and surreal or horrific or strange or whatever. But I've always wanted to, and like a lot of the films that I've done, Larry doesn't have so much of it, but like, my previous films have like a lot of like music involved of actual like performance. And I love just kind of centering stories and a world around this kind of this band, this scrappy kind of like Shaggy Dog band, and kind of the the misadventures of the three members of Duh.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I can't wait to see it grow. I do love how you've made it so organic, like you said, with the original music and being the center and the heart, obviously, of Uncle Peckerhead. I'll tune in for more misadventures. Absolutely.
Awesome.
What else do I got here? I really want to talk about the gore in this thing and the practical effects. I mean, who did you use for your practical effects, and how challenging was that? Because I am constantly told every time I say we need more fake blood, then everyone goes, well, there's continuity and there's cleanup and there's this and there's that, and there's always something that's trying to keep you from doing it. So, I mean, how challenging was that?
I mean, it's totally challenging. I mean, we got super lucky in that the two guys we had working in the effects department, Jared and Sean. Sean was Jared's assistant, but Jared's an incredible person to work with in that. One of the things that was keeping us from making the movie was we didn't have enough of a budget to have any effects. And I wanted to have, the movie doesn't have a ton of effects, but we have 4 major sequences really of practical effects. And I knew I wanted to do practical. I prefer movies, generally speaking, that are heavy on the in-camera side rather than the post-production or CGI. But I mean, what happened was, the first couple months, after we had a really solid draft, we went to a bunch of effects houses or reached out to a bunch of effects artists, and everyone I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars above what our budget would be. And then finally one effects house was like, we love this script. We really want to work on it. There's no way we can work with your budget, but we had this guy who is a freelancer and had worked on some projects with us. He's looking to kind of make his own way in the industry. So he might actually be able to work with your budget. And he's a really good guy. He put us in touch with Jared. And what was incredible about Jared is sometimes when you meet with an effects house, they'll tell you listen, I can do it for this budget, but you need to take this stuff out. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do that. That's going to cost extra. I mean, Jared really did almost make everything in that script come to life with the budget that we had. And he's an incredibly patient person, really rolled with the punches, like some of the best people on set. And it was, I mean, like anything, you wish you had more time. I feel certain things, if we just had another day or another few hours to get it done. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is those sequences are so when you're making them, it's such at least for me, an anxiety ridden experience, because especially, there's only one take for some of these effect shots. You only have one spine, or you only have one face rip, or you only have, X, Y, or Z. So really what's going on is everyone has to nail it. The actors have to nail the performance. The camera department has to have, everything. The focus has to be perfect. The angle at which they're shooting has to capture that exactly what you want to capture, just everything. Everyone has to nail it 10 out of 10. And what had happened was you have a puckered butthole, the entire hour and a half, you're shooting this one big moment. But then when it happened, you're just holding your breath. But then once it happens and you're looking at it on playback or whatever, and you got it, it's one of the most, you feel this, such a sense of not just relief, but that you can't believe everyone kind of was so locked in together. Everyone kind of it really is that thing, when you teach this idea of what's that quality of a crew that really makes a film successful. And it's basically everyone having this it's almost a odd kind of ESP connection of just understanding that moment and being able to answer that call. But yeah, I mean, we got so lucky with the effects guys. They fucking crushed it. It was incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff, you were lucky enough to get covered in blood and poop and just about every other thing under the sun. I mean, was it, are you fine with all the fake blood? Do you find it uncomfortable? I mean,
that's the first time anyone's asked me if I'm fine with being covered in blood. No, it's great. No, actually, no, it's great. I mean, I'm lucky every time Matt lets me get covered in shit and blood and puke.
Yeah.
No, it's great. When we did Larry, I was getting throw up right into my mouth and nose, which was fun. Like, don't get me wrong, that was really fun. But I actually got like a sinus infection after that. Like, I was like, there's so much fun in my nose, and like, who knows what's in that stuff. But no, I mean, that's I don't want to give it away any spoilers, but there's a gore scene that, you know, let's just be frank, I get covered in blood, and that was my last day of shooting. It might have been the last day.
It was the last day, yeah.
Yeah, so that was like a real treat. It was, Ruby and I, who played Mel, we get, you know, whatever.
Yeah, that was a great shot.
Yeah, and it was so rad. And it was just one of those things where everyone's tired. It was like one of the last scenes of the night, and it happened, and it was just like the whole crowd's just like, yeah, like the whole crew, like we all kind of celebrated that. It was like a catharsis. It was fun, you know. So yeah, I love it.
And everyone can just take a big breath. And
the funny thing is, you know, you literally, and with Jared, they had like a cannon. It was, I mean, I've had people say like, how did you guys do that? Like, you know, like we always try to get blood to spray that way. And I don't know their secret either, but their cannon of like spray, their mechanism for spraying the blood, man, it was like a tidal wave. And and the funny thing is, like, Matt directing is like, okay, just, I know this sucks, but see if you can keep your eyes open as long as you can. And dude, like, I thought, you know what's funny? It's like, I thought I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And you like, I think like, I don't know if it's like just the thing in editing, but I'm like, which would be a natural reaction, I guess. But
yeah,
I swear to God, man, when I was doing it, I was like, I did it. I kept my eyes open the whole time. Blood went in them. And then you see it back and you're like, so,
it's just your body going, this doesn't make sense.
Hey, that's a testament to the effects guys. Once again, they did a great job of covering us in blood.
Yes. Yeah. Incredible. So, you know, obviously your background is primarily in music, and, you know, I saw you in Larry Gone Demon and obviously Uncle Peckerhead. How do you approach like building the character of Max? And, you know, what did you bring to that?
Well, luckily, and man, I love this, that Matt did this. He gave everyone a sort of a backstory, and it was like our secret. Like, we weren't really supposed to tell the other people. And to this day, I don't know anyone else's backstory, and they don't know mine. So Matt sort of gave us that. And, you know, Matt knowing me too, I feel like he kind of built in some things too that I could really, some touchstones, and that I could really relate with, and sort of draw that inspiration from. So that was rad. I really am grateful that he kind of had that gave me insight into who this person was.
Yeah, you're a real delight to watch.
Thanks, man.
On screen.
Thanks.
Seriously. Like,
thank you.
I just need a GIF, like a never-ending GIF of you dancing on the bed.
That's my girlfriend's favorite part too.
Yeah.
I love that dance.
She's so like, she saw the trailer and was like, they put the dance in the trailer. So that's great. You know, she gets to see it all the time. But yeah, man. I mean, you know, this is only the second thing I've ever done, really, and I'm surprised that Matt wants me to even be part of it, but I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And it really like sort of flipped a switch in me, and now I'm just like in love with it, and like the whole process of, you know, I just like want to be better at acting and like sort of producing, like, you know, behind the scenes stuff. So I mean, I moved to Atlanta and started working in the film industry after we did Uncle Peckerhead, and I've worked on TV shows and all that stuff now. Yeah, just because I wanted to learn more about it. And and then, you know, the big sick happened, and back here in Philadelphia again. So
yeah.
But no, man, I learned a lot, and, you know, I just want to be better, you know, for our crew of weirdos to help out. You know?
I totally get that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
we got really lucky. I think like you can hear with Jeff, but like with all of the like, especially the main cast, but everyone is, you know, like you just worry. And one of the things that I just asked when I met, you know, like Chet and Ruby and David, I already knew Jeff, obviously, but you know, you just want, even though you're making like a blood and poop extravaganza like movie, like you do want the actors to kind of take be like actually take the moment seriously, like those scenes seriously. And I think that's why it seems so heartfelt at times, or I hope it comes off heartfelt at times, or they come off so charming, is like it's not winky and they're not being like hack or like kind of like a one-dimensional version of these characters. And I think I could see that by giving, you know, it was like for each person it was like anywhere from 3 to 5 pages of like backstory of either how they know, like how the band know each other, how they came to know each other, but even before that would kind of inform their performance or why they would react to things the way they react, or understand why they do. And you can't ask for like a better cast, because all of them really took it like seriously, not in terms of they were pretentious or like high-minded about it, or had their nose in the air, but they really took it seriously, like despite it being like such a kind of a, at times, like a lowbrow, like, you know, like gore fest. I think all of the, like, especially that main cast, really, I mean, like, loved on their character, and I think it, like, to me it really showed, and it's the reason why it was so fun to kind of make that movie with them.
Yeah, no, I think it's having that really great character, you know, study and following these people along, and everything that they're going through, that makes the really intense moments, the crazy over the top moments, seem, I don't know, it's a really good ebb and flow and a really good balance. And so even though, you know, you said there were like, what, 4 big set pieces of ultra violence or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't seem like it. I mean, it seems like there's a lot more, and it's all just weighted out really well. So I just think you did
thank you
such
so
a
much.
great job.
Thanks, man.
Well, I don't want to take up your whole evening, but I did want to talk about, I am so excited to share this with people at the Starlight Drive-In for our Dusk Till Dawn movie series. We're showing 3 films from this year, so 3 brand new films. Uncle Peckerhead is like the midnight slot. I just think it's going to be so rad. We're also showing like a 4K restoration of American Werewolf in London directly after it, which is one of my go-to horror comedies. We're showing Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which was a retrospective. We're ending it with like Rock and Roll High School at like 6 in the morning.
Yes.
And we're showing Carnival of Souls as well, because that was made in Lawrence. And we're showing a couple of new films from this year. One is called Thorpe, and the other is called Puppy Love. And I'm just so excited to see this on the big screen.
I know. I'm dying. I mean, this would be if I didn't have like real world, like adult responsibility, this would definitely be the let's get in our fucking car and drive.
Right.
You know, yeah, I still haven't seen a finished cut of this movie on a big screen. I'm not kidding. We haven't had a chance.
Yeah, I mean, was that pretty, I mean, when everything, we don't have to bring it down too much, but was that pretty kind of heartbreaking when everything kind of started to fall apart earlier in this year? Because I know you guys were at Panic Fest in Kansas City.
That was our premiere, and that also was the first time that we had like the final cut like in a public on a big screen. And then the next time we were going to play somewhere is we were going to play Cinequest in like San Jose in California, and like I literally flew out the day that like everything got shut down. So like we were,
and I was days from flying out. I still haven't gotten the money back for my ticket. I remember talking to Matt, and that same weekend in San Francisco there was a Facebook convention, there was the Twitch video game conference, and Cinequest. So we were like, this is going to be such a wild weekend. Like, we were so stoked. And I just remember just seeing it kind of progressively get worse, and talking to Matt, and I was like, I saw the Facebook canceled, I saw that Twitch canceled, and I just was like, it's going to get canceled. And sure enough, an hour later, it was like, and this is the beginning of the pandemic. So like people kind of just didn't even really know what was going on yet. And it was just like, oh, and then after that, everything.
Yeah.
And there's you look at it two ways in that to me the most fun, the best part about making movies to me is getting to watch it with an audience and get to meet other filmmakers. I mean, I love film fest. That's like kind of what's kind of always been like a driving kind of force and why I like making movies, is being able to meet people and connect with people and being able to having people laugh at your movie in a theater. It's like the best drug I've ever taken in my life. But like this thing of it sucks so bad, but I think we got really, in all, with so much shit going on in the world, I think ultimately you just kind of take it in stride. And I think we just got lucky with, we were able to pivot, and Epic, Dread Presents and Epic Pictures stepped in and really wanted to get the movie out to people, because we wanted to kind of make that pivot and also get the movie out to people. So, I mean, things could have been so much worse, and things are so much worse for people that every time, we're or at least I'm sitting by myself and I'm like, oh, it sucks that we don't get to play film festivals. I'm just you kind of check yourself and you're like, dude, things could be
worse.
Much fucking worse.
And guess what? The cool thing is, also people get to see our movie, which is crazy to me. The fact that people can go on Amazon, or just you can just get it on the TV now, and just people can watch it, and that's huge.
And stuff like this drive-in event. I mean, when I saw the lineup, and I love Tallgrass, but getting to do something like this drive-in event, especially getting the midnight-ish slot or whatever. I mean, that's shit that I would dream of as at any age, but as a 16-year-old to see that lineup, that's I mean, that's my heart is bursting with joy to just be in the company of those movies. And I'm sure the movies from 2020 are equally fun and crazy and just made for the drive-in. But it's you're just man, this is so fucking cool. You still haven't kind of really come, it still hasn't sunk in how cool it is that we made a movie with a bunch of our friends and family and buddies and whoever, and now it's it's going to play this really dope event in Kansas as part of this really cool film festival. That stuff you just. Yeah, I mean, you think about with everything going on, still having opportunities to do such cool stuff like this. It's just it's such a dream.
Yeah, it just makes me so happy to see people living their dreams and making things and getting to experience it through the eyes of everyone else. And it's inspirational, man. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I mean, not to kiss ass, not to be oh no, but thank you. Really, I mean, it really means a lot, both with you and the people of Tallgrass, really embracing kind of DIY, truly independent filmmaking. But then, the people that are watching online or are watching at the drive-in, just the fact of watching someone else's movie and talking about it or thinking about it, whether or not you post or tweet or tell someone else. I'd love for you to do it though. Uncle Peckerhead's the name of the movie if you want to. But just in general, just the fact that people the idea of seeking out or embracing or supporting someone's dream or just someone's story, it means a lot. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of our movie, to both you and all the people at Tallgrass and all the people who watch the movie. It really it means a lot.
It is 100% our pleasure. Like I said in my initial email, I was ready to fight someone for this interview because they joke I'm the resident horror guy. And when Nick said, hey, you should probably check out Uncle Peckerhead, I said, what now? What are we doing? Okay, cool. I'm in. And I just, from that opening shot, I'm done. It's insane. So
I love it.
Well, I mean, and you're who we're making the movie for, I mean, this is like Matt said, it's a DIY effort, and festivals like you guys and people like you are keeping us, you know, that's the reason why we can do it at all, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Amen.
I'll just keep gobbling it up. I'll keep coming back for more, man.
Thanks, dude.
So we should probably wrap this up because I don't want to keep you all night. So you mentioned Uncle Peckerhead, Instagram, Facebook. Like, where can people find all that dope content? Because whoever's running your Instagram is on fire.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think the best place is unclepeckerhead.com, and that'll link you to, I mean, you can just go to, if you're on Instagram, Uncle Peckerhead, we're on there. We have Uncle Peckerhead on Twitter, but I would just follow either like myself or Jeff. If you just put in Uncle Peckerhead on Twitter, you'll find us. And we post a lot more from our own accounts than from the movie account. But I think unclepeckerhead.com is like such a nice kind of like a home base that'll link you to all of our social. It'll link you to like future projects. It'll link you to, you know, the web store or information about the record once that starts to come together. And it just kind of like, it'll let you know all things Peck or all things from the people of Peck.
That's awesome. And where can people find you guys and follow what you're up to?
Jeff, you want to go?
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. I have a band called $500 with Bill, who played drums for Duh, like the recordings. We have a band called $500. So yeah, you could just Google it.
Yeah, I checked it out. It's really good.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, we just put out a new 7-inch record. So
cool.
That's out there. And my Instagram is This Is Hell, I'm in Hell.
Yeah, and I'm Young Bull on Twitter, just Young Bull. And I'm Kid Dynamat on Instagram. So you can find me on those two social medias or mediums.
That's awesome. Well, everyone go follow these guys because you're going to want to check all this stuff out. They're doing big things. I'm so elated to have you here with me today. Thank you guys so much for coming. We should look at the festival. Maybe we can do like a quick pop-up Facebook live thing after people have had a chance to see the movie, and we can get some like, I don't know, engagement from the fans as well. So
I'd love that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and really, like, to anybody that watches the movie, like obviously, hopefully, we'll do this Facebook thing, but please, like, let us know what you thought of the movie.
And take pictures. Take pictures at the drive-in and tag Uncle Peckerhead because we'll share it. We love that shit.
Yeah,
we love that shit.
Yeah, that's like that. Being stuck in a 1-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn for the past like 9 fucking months. I live vicariously through people watching my movie in other cities, states, or countries.
Philadelphia garage, same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so
please let us know and take pictures, as Jeff said. That just warms our heart and it gives us hope.
Tag Uncle Peckerhead.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our sponsors that have made Tallgrass Film Festival possible. Thank you for everyone for checking out Uncle Peckerhead and for checking out this conversation. There's more Q&As for bonus content all over the CineSend platform for Tallgrass Film Festival. So thank you guys for joining me for the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival.
Thank you, Ryan. Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ryan. This was great.
Thanks so much. We'll chat soon. All right, guys.
All right.
Awesome. Great.
Bye.
Bye.